Welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today, have you ever noticed, before we go any further, if you like my content, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to my channel. Helps my channel grow. And with that, leave comments. Love to hear from you. So let's get started. Have you ever noticed how things are set up and managed? So many things in our daily lives that are designed to remove critical thinking. Now, what I mean by that thought is we are not all the same. So we are not, all fit into one mold. And we, as life goes on, businesses, for example, and professionals, medical professionals and dental professionals, all fall into this. Well, what they want is they want to make it so they say for the ease of you, so you don't forget and you can just schedule this and do this. But in reality, do you really need that? So because really, in essence, all of it is designed to be able to give them the most amount of money out of your pocket. It's their business. They're trying to just keep that steady cash flow. Okay, it's fair to understand. Today's world, it's how they make money. Repeat business. But in today's world for you and I, we have to think about inflation. We have to think about the tariffs, all the things that are costing us money and, money coming out of our pockets. Is it in our interest to go along with the program? So, businesses, for instance, if you do car maintenance, you get an oil change. They put that little sticker up in the window reminding you of when to change your oil again. But you know what? Do we all drive the same? No. Do we all put that much pressure on our vehicles, that we need to have that kind of maintenance all the time? Or are you good, especially as they have gotten better with cars that have longer mileage guarantees, then that you really need that as often as it's set? They want every 3,000 miles. Oh, come back for an oil change. No, not necessarily. I don't look at that at all. I look at, as I check the oil periodically, what's it look like? What's the color of the oil? Is it going down? Am I burning a little oil? I keep all of those things into consideration. So, and it goes true for any kind of car maintenance, so you want to go, and keep your vehicle in good shape, but at what cost? Are you really needing all of those services on the intervals and the frequencies they want you to do? So, as my wife points out, haircuts, nails, haircuts, the first thing they do, literally, as my wife says, once they're in for a haircut, is schedule the next one right behind it. Do you really need a haircut on the schedule that they want? Or is it just really set up for, them to get and keep cash flowing in? Same with nails. My wife was always getting her nails done and started really looking at it and started making a reevaluation of the value of it. The types of nails and what it does to your body, the things, the treatments, but also more importantly, how often you go. They want you in there, my wife says every, 6 to 8 weeks. And, that's just money, it's funneling into their business. Okay. Again, get it. Doctors and dentists are the same. My wife had a procedure done, and then they said during all of this, well, you have a couple of, cavities and you have to get to and do the teeth cleaning. So we'll get that arranged, coming soon. So when it came time to go back in, okay, they already knew from the x-rays they had took that, where the tooth with the cavity or the potential cavity was at, but yet they said, oh, well, you have to get a full set of, x-rays again. And she's like, no, I don't want that. I don't need that. One, it's especially when you are, retired. Most of us don't have dental care coverage. Once you don't work anymore, it's not covered by Medicare or any of the government programs. So you've got to give it a long, hard thought, because that's money in cash coming out of your pocket. So anyway, she questioned, and then they got real standoffish. Well, okay, well, if you don't get, we need this, and we can't move forward without it. Okay, there you go. We're on our way. And she said no. And, not a tragedy, but it brings to mind that what mandates that you have to have all those. You already know in that case, the tooth involved, but you want a whole x-ray of every tooth in the mouth, because that's just money you're going to make, of course. We had gotten sick recently, and bad cold it turned out to be. Anyway, went to urgent care. And urgent care, they wanted to send me for an X-ray, and they wanted to send me for a CT scan. Now the X-ray made sense, on my lungs. I've had pneumonia in the past, and so some things you kind of go, okay, from a safety standpoint, makes sense. Negative. The X-ray came back negative, nothing terrible. Just it really turned out to be a bad cough and a bad cold. And they gave some medicine for it, but they wanted the CT scan. And I'm like, no, I didn't feel the need. Did not seem like it was something that was necessary. And why, of course, did they do that? They did that because the new Medicare would pay for that. And so that's just money that they're kind of have a relationship with, either the people that do the scans, that service. And so it, again, brings into question, is it really necessary? And the funny thing that really drove home on that was my wife ended up with the same cold, same sickness, went to the urgent care, exactly the same thing, same diagnosis, get a chest x-ray and get a CT scan. So she did chest x-ray and said no to the scan, and again, it's just money that's going to come out of your pocket. So, in many cases, professionals like doctors, I'm not knocking doctors, but they're like anything else. If they know that Medicare, waiting for the truck to go by, waiting for Medicare, they know Medicare is going to pay. So they're willing to, have any test done out there. They because of my age, and I hadn't had one done in a long time, they wanted to do a colonoscopy. And I'm like, that does not run in my family. And I was hesitant. I wasn't comfortable about, the anesthesia and everything else. And I said no. So I did the Cologuard test that I agreed to. That came out, did that. It came back negative. Everything's good. Lo and behold, no. And the test for a colonoscopy runs almost $3,000. Anywhere between 2 and 3. So again, you're looking at, are we all the same? No, we are not. Are all of from a medical standpoint, dentist standpoint, are all the tests necessary? Maybe yes, sometimes. Plenty of times, no. So businesses, they're always looking for ways to keep you coming back into their business. And I get that. Nothing wrong with that. But don't let them remove critical thinking from what you do. You are not the same as the person next to you, or John or Susie or Mary, Bob, everyone's different. And so don't let others remove that thinking that you need to say, nah, I don't need to do that. And it's okay to make that decision, because a lot of times you're pressured into it big time, and you kind of okay. And especially when it comes to medical professionals, we put faith in our doctors, and we kind of question them on leave them unquestioned on what they want to do. And I'm not speaking ill of doctors. My sister's a doctor, but you have to really make sure that, is it in your best interest? Because if it's not, then go with your gut feeling. So with that, let me know in the comments below what you think, how things are going in regards to having you just all be like lemmings. Because that's kind of what it feels like. Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'm going to tell you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.